Now let's examine this function definition and learn about parameters. We see our next line here is def generate underscore entity, and then inside of the parentheses we have self comma space entity underscore ID equals none. And then of course the colon at the end, because we do that when we define the functions. So self is a required parameter that connects this function to our simulator object. Every method inside a class needs self as its first parameter so it can access the object's data and other methods, like we talked about this instance earlier in the course. Second, we have entity underscore ID equals none. This is what's called an optional parameter with a default value. The equals none part makes this parameter optional. If someone calls this function without providing an entity ID, Python will automatically use none as the default value. This design makes our function flexible. You can call it in two different ways. You could write generate entity with the parentheses and no entity ID, and the function will automatically generate an ID like entity underscore 001, for example. Or you could write generate underscore entity, and inside of the parentheses, you could put the word custom entity inside of quotes to specify your own custom ID. So sometimes you want automatic operation. Just press the button and let the equipment handle the details. Other times, you need precise control for specific things. The none syntax tells Python if no value is provided for this parameter, use none instead, giving flexibility and a sensible default. And this pattern appears throughout professional Python code regularly because it makes functions both easy to use for simple cases and powerful enough for more complex requirements. Now, since the entity ID parameter in generate entity is designed to be used as a dictionary key later in the code, we need to use data types that can serve as dictionary keys in Python. So the valid data types you'd be able to pass here would be strings. It's the most common and recommended choice. Strings work perfectly as dictionary keys and are human readable, making them ideal for this entity identification. However, you could also use integers. Numbers work as dictionary keys. In that case, it's useful for sequential numbering systems or when you want purely numeric IDs. Tuples, which are immutable sequences, these can also be used as keys. And that would be good for composite identifiers that need multiple components. These work because dictionary keys must be hashable, meaning they're immutable and can be converted to a hash value for fast lookup. Strings, integers, and tuples containing only immutable elements are all hashable. So that means that lists which are mutable will not work not hashable. Dictionaries are mutable and not hashable, and sets are mutable and not hashable. So it's one of the best practices. Use strings for entity IDs unless you have a specific reason not to, because strings are descriptive, readable, and clearly identify what each entity represents in the 4D simulation database for this particular program. But as we discussed, you have those three other options because those are immutable data types which are hashable.